Good evening, Twitch and United Hearthstone League. Welcome back to United Hearthstone League on twitch.tv/UnitedHS League. We are in the middle of a Thursday night triple header, another one, and we've got a great match ahead for you right in just a few minutes. It's Lore Master Eve versus Mike Lowe. I'm Cinder, you know me, I've been doing this for a while, and I am actually joined in person by my buddy Appa.
Yep.
What's up, man?
You can touch the beard in person.
Yes, that's right. Tickle the beard.
I'm doing good. I haven't casted in a while, but that's because I had mono for 3 weeks straight. But
I'll do it.
now I'm back.
All
and
right.
my voice is good again. So.
We're good to cast. So we have Lore Master Eve versus Mike Lowe. They're in the last week of a 3-week rotation for their deck selection. And Appa, let's talk about the format real quick before we jump into their decks. How does this work?
So with UHL, we wanted to try something different for viewer experience and the player's benefit, so we're not just playing the same busted decks over and over again each week. So matches are played out in best of 5 conquest format, and players choose 3 classes per week. But the catch is that you can't play the same class until you've played all 9 classes. So players in week 1, they'll be playing 3 classes, and then week 2 they'll have to play 3 of the remaining 6, and then in week 3 they'll have to play the last 3 remaining classes until they can start the cycle over again.
And for this week's classes, Mike Lowe is running with a Hunter, Paladin, and Warrior, and Eve has Druid, Paladin, Warlock. So only the Paladin come in between them. How do these archetypes shape up, Appa?
Yeah, the name is the only common thing between these Paladin
Okay.
decks. Eve is bringing Odd Paladin, a fairly standard build.
Okay.
But Mike Lowe is bringing mid-range Paladin with Lanessa Sunsorrow and Girubashi Berserker. I think were the standout cards that we saw.
Good, unironic Gurubashi Berserker. Mike Lowe, you're a mad genius. I'm super excited to see what kind of jank comes out of that. And the Warrior is what? An odd Warrior?
It is a odd taunt control warrior.
I like the way you think, Mike.
It's a Quest Baku, and
I like it.
fairly standard, but the interesting inclusion, I think, is the 2 copies of Glacial Shard that he has, which actually might help him in the Warlock matchup, because Mountain Giants hit fairly hard, and 1 mana to say stop is fairly nice, and we'll give him some breathing room there.
Yeah, for sure. Because Eve does have that even Warlock with all those big health minions, but she's also got some other fairly high tier decks. What's she coming in with?
She's bringing Token Druid along with the Odd Paladin, and she is bringing that even Warlock.
So really good aggression, really good mid-range combo burst potential, really good mid-range control-y deck versus Mike's Mad Genius deck. So I'm going to tell the players to go ahead and get started. Appa, give us kind of an idea of how you think this best of 5 is going to play out.
Well, I think Mike Lowe, he's brought interesting decks, but I think they suffer from... We were talking about this right before the cast, but Cinder was saying some of Mike's decks don't do broken enough things, and Eve's decks do very busted things.
Yeah, that Odd Paladin for sure is just like brutal. You so many little bitty dudes, and then level up and go face and hope they don't have a board clear. And I mean, Mike's playing with the Baku Warrior is going to have some board clears.
Yeah,
but
the Baku Warrior will beat the taunt or the Token Druid or the Odd Paladin.
Yeah,
but it's going to lose pretty handily, I believe, to the Even Warlock. But the other 2 decks he brought, the Alarmabot Spell Hunter and the Midrange Paladin, they're not nearly as punishing as Eve's Token Druid and Odd Paladin.
No, but I tell you what though, that Alarmabot Hunter is super greedy, and if he can land that Alarmabot, he can start pulling some huge minions and just hit Eve for 8, 10, 12 at a time. So it has a lot of potential to end the game quickly. So it's going to be up to Eve to identify how she's going to beat that deck.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see how these play out, because we always have theory, but theory doesn't always hold up in Hearthstone matches.
And if you watched the cast last night with Eve and I casting Pear versus Red Knight, you know that Eve knows her stuff, so she's going to be bringing her A game against Mike, because everybody knows by now that Mike loves the creativity in the deck builds. And we're going to open up with the Druid versus the Warrior, and this is a pretty shaky matchup for Eve to start with.
Honestly, yeah, this is Eve's probably her worst matchup. Either this or the Odd Paladin versus the Baku Warrior deck. But if she just gets this out of the way, even if she loses this, I think she'll be fine in the remaining matchups.
Yeah, getting the Warrior off the table means that the rest of her lineup gets a good bit stronger because the Odd Paladin no longer has to face it. Why is Mike's hand not showing up? Let's try to respec Mike. Try that one more time. There we go. All right, so obviously Mike's going to be starting off with the quest. And one of the things about the Odd Baku Taunt Warrior is that it also includes some rush minions. So you're probably going to see a Town Crier, you're probably going to see a Rabid Worgen, and you're seeing Darius Crowley in the hand right there. And obviously starts with the quest on turn 1. Eve is looking for ramp, and no ramp available just yet.
Well, the Oaken Summons actually functions in this build as ramp some of the time because she runs 2 copies of Violet Teacher and also 2 copies of Greedy Sprite.
Yep.
She's not playing the Ironwood Golems at all. She's looking to basically...
Ooh.
Oh, picking up the Wild Growth's really nice. She's basically looking to do what Taunt Druid or Token Druid does and do it every game as much as possible.
And I might be a little suspicious, or not suspicious, what's the word? Superstitious about Druids, because they always seem to pick up Wild Growth on 2, like,
Yep.
no matter what. So Eve could definitely Oaken Summons here on turn 3, as the deck is designed to do, pulling out that Violet Teacher, threatening to get a board of tokens going. But Mike does have answers to play on 3. Whirlwind coming off the top.
That's going to be a very clean shield slam target. One thing to note about this matchup is that the Odd Warrior doesn't have access to Warpath,
Yes.
which is its best card in the matchup by far.
Yep.
It does have Whirlwind and Brawls, but it has to piece 2 different cards together to clear Whispering Wood and Soul the Forest boards.
So this is an interesting inclusion. Living Mana is not typical of ladder builds. This is yet another board of tokens available behind both Whispering Woods and the Violet Teachers. This is like a 5th or even a 6th board of tokens, and this could actually kind of tap out Mike's removal, all of his AoE and Whirlwind effects, because there's only so much you can get in the Baku Warrior, as you said. Warpath not available, Primordial Drake not available, because those are even cost cards.
Yeah, this is definitely a tournament build of this deck. Bodicus and I actually came up with this build when we were building his DreamHack Austin lineup, and this is designed to be better versus control, because you have the 5th and 6th threats in the Living Manas, along with the Violet Teachers and Whispering Woods. So it's really designed to overload your opponent's removal and really just try and make a big board as often as possible.
Yep, and those Glacial Shards, just going to go ahead and try and install some of that offense from the Living Mana tokens. Michael looking to draw a card or 2 off of the Acolyte, and there's the second Living Mana, but Living Mana, as we can peek at that card, hasn't been played in a while. It transforms the mana crystals into tokens, so she went to 0 mana last turn to get those 5 tokens out, so she's down to 1. If she wants to play any cards, she has to kill these tokens off somehow. But it is a way to get a much earlier Savage Roar turn than this deck is normally capable of, so I can't blame her for going for it this early.
Yeah, I like her decision to run this out. It forces Mike to respond to it immediately, and then if he doesn't, it's very likely he'll take a large chunk of damage from either Soul of the Forest, Power of the Wild, or Savage Roar.
I want to check the list if she's even running Power of the Wild, because she's still running Power of the Wild, so the full token complement is in place. Coin gonna allow her to get a single hero power off to handle one of these Glacial Shards. This will set her to 3 mana, which will be well, it's still only 2 mana. No, it's just gonna leave her at 2 mana, so another hero power next turn is all she's gonna get for her trouble. And Mike drawing into more taunts, and also picked up the Cornered Sentry off of the previous Stonehill Defender, so that Whirlwind can pair really nicely to get him a 2/5 for 2 mana.
Yeah, even though Eve is low on mana right now because of the living mana breaking her mana crystals, she is okay with this right now because while she's foregoing development, she's still getting in chip damage with the tokens. So she's kind of okay with how the game's going right now.
Yeah, and so far Mike has proven that he is not able to clear these tokens. So Mike just gonna try and draw into those answers by way of that Acolyte of Pain. The Whirlwind is available, but it's not quite enough to get the board completely clear. But some trades will help pare down some of this offense. Looks like Eve's going to be left with just 2 tokens on the board. Town Crier could pull something interesting, though. Oop, but not even... Those are the guinea pigs, everyone. I did feed them before the cast, but they decided to join us. But yeah, Town Crier can't pull anything to play, so Hero Power, tank up for 4 armor. Eve now drawing into a little bit of removal, and she still has card draw and ramp to go. If these tokens die, she can just kind of power into turn 10 and get that engine rolling.
Yeah, I think I like swipe the Town Crier and double trade in here. Her hand is filled with high-cost cards, and that can take over the game easily by themselves. The Nourishes generate a ton of card advantage. If she picks up a copy of Soul of the Forest for Whispering Wood, she can take over a game very quickly. So I like cashing in her tokens for the mana crystals to make her next turn much more powerful.
Yeah, and seeing that she has refills available, yeah, she's got to feel safe trading away those tokens, especially if she picks up a Soul of the Forest off of some of the card draw. And, already at 7 cards, she's doing great on card advantage. Mike's only at 4, so she knows that his power is dwindling in hand. Yeah, here comes the swipe, exactly as you predicted. So this is going to set her up for an 8-mana turn next turn. Pretty good turn. Ooh, look at that. The Tar Lord coming off the top for Mike Lowe. My goodness.
I don't think I've ever seen that card placed in a deck. I think I've only seen it taken off of Stonehill Defender before.
Yeah, I tried it with Master Oakheart because it's one attack officially, so he'll pull it out.
Oh gosh.
But it's still it's sad if you draw it in hand, so I can understand not playing it.
So what do you think you would go for this turn? This turn looks a little awkward for Eve.
Yeah, it's a little too late for Nourish. I don't think you want to Nourish into 10 mana here. So Living Mana will just put another 7 tokens on the board, and if Mike clears it, she just gets back up to 9. So yeah, this is not a bad play, honestly, but she's still got to find a way to break through that Tar Lord, because that's a big body that is not going to get answered easily.
I think if I was in Mike's position, I would leave this right now. Eve kind of showed us earlier that she doesn't have a way to abuse these tokens, and I think firing off this Reckless Fury would be a little preemptive.
Yeah, he's got so much armor too, right? 9 is quite a lot. I mean, that's 4 hits from Savage Roar that gets soaked up. I don't think he wants to expend all of that just now, because Savage Roar lethal calculations are pretty tight a lot of the time. Darius Crowley going to come down instead, kill a minion, and get real big. 6/4 that deals 2 for 5 mana. That's a pretty good card.
That's actually an interesting trade, because that gives Eve access to 3 mana this turn.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have the Savage Roar to capitalize on it.
Right. I think Mike's kind of taking a chance. He's got the 2 taunts in play. He's got the Tar Lord in play. Looks like Eve's just going to have to punch through this, honestly, unless she wants to figure out a way to get that Spellstone charged up. But she doesn't have any mana to create any armor. So, yeah, I think she's just got to punch through this with a Hero Power and 4 more trades, I think.
Get through it the old-fashioned way.
She's going to earn every point of damage that she takes to the face here. But, I mean, it is still not even a full card traded into 1 card. It's like 5/7 of a card getting traded in.
Yeah, like this Living Mana's eating quite a few cards from Mike Lowe. Yeah. So this kind of just showcases the power of this card, even if we haven't seen it in some time.
Yeah, even though it eats up the mana, it's still quite a lot of bodies on the board that must be answered because of Savage Roar. It's a basic. Is it a basic or a classic? It's a classic card.
Basic.
The basic cards. I mean, any druid can take it, no matter how inexpensive the deck is dust-wise. But she just goes ahead and looses off the Jasper Spellstone for 2, and a Hero Power will take care of the Tar Lord, leave 2 tokens on, but Darius Crowley getting bigger and bigger.
Tar Lord number 2 off of Stonehill Defender.
That's gotta hurt. She just put in she spent her entire turn dealing with that first Tar Lord, and bam, there's a new fresh body. So I gotta think that maybe she just Oaken summons here, because she doesn't want to just put down a Whispering Woods without a buff behind it. So Greedy Sprite going to come down off the Oaken summons and give her 6 armor, but Tar Lord's just going to stay in play unanswered, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think we'll see her nourish for 3 cards here.
Yeah.
To try and maximize the percentage that she draws Soul of the Forest.
So, for those of you who have never listened to the Coin Concede podcast that Appa and I used to do together, my house is a zoo. And at any given time, when I have an open mic, a hot mic, you can just hear, dogs playing with dog bowls in the background. It's just going to happen. But, yeah, so Eve cannot punch through this Tar Lord, and Darius Crowley is enormous. He's gotten 2 hits and has still survived. Lore Master Eve, she's gonna have to utilize that swipe if she wants to get him off the board. I don't see any other way of dealing with that before it gets almost to like Grommash level dangerous.
Yeah, I would start going face here if I was Mike Lowe. Just start pushing this 8 damage to the face with this Darius Crowley and kind of starting to end this game before Eve gets something really hard to deal with.
Yeah, 8 damage going downtown. Eve has not put up any offensive pressure whatsoever. The living manas have been answered by big taunts because she didn't have access to a Savage Roar or any other kind of buff for the tokens. Mike Lowe just being able to place down these beefy minions turn after turn and just eat up those tokens. Finally, Soul of the Forest coming into hand for Lore Master Eve. She can finally put a token board together, but Mike's got about 20 power on board. So and she's still got to punch through all those taunts. I don't know that she's going to be able to get to the face here.
Yeah, I don't think she's going to be able to connect with these. Even if she did get to Whispering Woods and Soul of the Forest it, Mike Lowe could trade into 4 of them, pop them, and Reckless Fury at worst, or he could just push damage to face, because he is sitting pretty at 46.
Yeah, 46 life is a little bit more than your average Savage Roar can do in one go. Eve going to try and stall the game out a little bit now, gaining armor off of the loot the chests from the branching paths. Dogs get fussed at, and we're going to Wild Growth for a card here, I believe. No, she's going to just shapeshift for another point of armor. Trying to solve that. I mean, 40. She's at 40 herself. And
yeah, it looks like she's trying to navigate this game to a point where she can chain multiple turn Whispering Wood and Soul of the Forest.
Yeah.
Because that is a way she comes back into this.
But for now, 8 damage going downtown sets her to 32, which is not a number that Mike wants to see. But he's got all the time in the world here. He's at 50, and he's got 5 bodies on board. And of course, Druid, no real way to answer wide boards. All it can do is contest them with its own minions. And here comes that combo: Whispering Woods plus Soul of the Forest plus Power of the Wild. Mike would have to come up with 2 area of effect attacks here in order to take care of this board, or trade into as many as he can before. But I don't think he's going to burn 20 armor for a Reckless Flurry. That just seems excessive.
Yeah, it looks like he's just going upstairs again with the damage.
Yeah, he sees the advantage on board. Baku coming down for a 7/8 body, and that actually threatens lethal unless Eve. Oh no. No, the Spreading Plague could have extended this game for at least 2 or 3 more turns, but now her board is full of these 2/2 tokens, and when they die, they create more 2/2 tokens, so she cannot deploy this Spreading Plague at all. Ultimate Infestation going to come down and gain her a little bit of armor, possibly extend the game for 1 more turn. I have to. Oh, there's a Savage Roar.
Yeah, I imagine her trading into pretty much everything here, and then forcing an AoE from Mike Lowe, and then trying to follow up with another big board backed by Soul of the Forest.
Yeah, and she can take a little bit of damage off the board here with some value trades. Baku's going to remain, but the Rabid Worgen getting taken off. She still has a full board of 7 tokens, so stable for the moment. Mike Lowe actually, in fact, is running out of cards. So, ooh, that's a brawl that just came off the top for Mike Lowe.
That brawl was very clutch for him, I think. Having to rely just on Reckless Fury is not really where you want to be, so having that extra cushion of another AoE spell is very important here.
Yeah, and Baku, although she may get sacrificed to this brawl if he decides to use it. And we're just going to go face with that 7 damage, though.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how he plays this turn. I think the two realistic options are Reckless Fury or Brawl. And
Yep.
oh.
Well, he just passes the turn to Eve, says, I'm going to hold on to this.
How much damage does she have right now?
So there's 14 on board. Branching Paths will give her another 14. Savage Roar will give her another 16.
Is that it?
28 plus 16 is 42. Oh my goodness. That's not lethal, but that is a chunk of damage. Wait, is that both? Did she have both Savage Roars there?
No,
she just had the one. Okay.
She had one roar in the Branching Path.
Yeah, but my goodness, that's a ton of damage coming down.
So she is pushing quite a bit here, and they can clean up this Baku fairly easily.
Yeah, I bet Mike is now regretting not deploying that Brawl last turn.
Yeah, now he's going to have to Brawl this board, and then Eve will get to follow up with a Whispering Wood and a Soul of the Forest, and then he'll have to get either another Whirlwind or AoE spell off the top. Oh man, Eve has played this game fairly well.
Yeah.
She took it slow, and that's exactly what you need to do here. You need to take the time to sculpt your hand, because you have time against control decks. Oh, he does find the Whirlwind though.
But yeah, that was a pretty heads up play too, deploying that Jasper Spellstone to pick off the Baku with a trade to make sure that she has more turns to go. But here comes the Brawl from Mike Lowe. Gonna leave 3 minions on the board though, and that's still, well, 2 because one of the Death Rattle stays, but that's 6 on board, 7 for the hero power. He's still dead to another Savage Roar if it comes out. He's still got to answer some of this damage.
Yeah, I think if he had access to 6 mana, I would say he would want a Voodoo Doll, tank up, and Shield Slam his own Voodoo Doll on the Treant.
Yeah, why not?
So he wouldn't die. But yeah, this Savage Roar, if Eve gets another one off the top, this is not looking great.
No, he in order to live through a potential Savage Roar lethal, he's gonna have to deploy that tank up no matter what. So because 6 on the board plus 6 more for a Savage Roar plus 1 for the hero power is 13, so he's got to armor up to live. Else he's dead to a Savage Roar top deck from Eve. So, but he's probably doing that math in his head right now. And he's gonna go for the Voodoo Doll.
Yeah, he can't ping it off this turn because unless he Whirlwinds.
He can Whirlwind it. No, he doesn't.
Okay, good. I like seeing him save the Whirlwind for the second Whispering Wood combo.
Yeah. Savage Roar didn't come off the top, but Eve does have access to some card draw, so she could get there.
I would like to see Eve play Spreading Plague and Greedy Sprite this turn. Just run it out there and get as much value as you can out of these cards, but looks like she's going for the Whispering Wood combo again. Is gonna get the bad news here next turn that Mike does have the clear for it.
Yeah, but it's literally the remainder of Mike Lowe's hands. But I think that is Eve's second Whispering Woods plus Soul of the Forest. I don't think she has anything left.
It's the remainder of Mike Lowe's hand, but it's the remainder of Eve's threats.
Yeah, it is. So Mike's gonna think about this for a second and see if he can spot the clear. Which if I know Mike, I'm sure he's got this in hand.
Yeah, he'll want to trade into the Treant with his Voodoo Doll, Whirlwind,
there it is,
and then tank up Reckless Fury here.
Heads up, board clear from Michael O coming out. Sequence it perfectly. Double checking, triple checking the math to make sure he's got all of the damage and all of the Death Rattle effects sequenced correctly before he plays this out. But I think he's got it. He reached for that Whirlwind, and the next step is the tank up Reckless Flurry. Here it comes. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 power,
doesn't
man.
matter. They're all dead.
Yep. Mike, slam that shield. Reckless Flurry. So now Eve is down to... She could Ultimate Infestation. She could, as you said, I think the other play might be Spreading Plague Greedy Sprite.
I think that's what she wants to do here. I think she wants to Spreading Plague and Greedy Sprite this turn, and then Spreading Plague next turn, and then try and somehow craft an odd lethal with Savage Roar.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's what you got to do. I mean, Mike's down to 3. If she's counting cards, she knows that he's expended quite a few resources here to clear boards. So she might be able to get 1 or 2 minions to stick, and that might be all she needs to get it done. behind that Savage Roar.
Oh, wow.
Oof.
Picking up this Apple Bomb should probably seal this game for Mike Lowe. All he really needed at this point was just an extra life cushion to really grind Eve out of cards completely.
Yeah, and the Sulfuras comes into hand, but I don't think that's of any interest to Mike Lowe here. Double taunts, Lore Master Eve down to nothing, although that Malfurion's super interesting because that does give Eve a reliable source of damage and healing if she wants it. But the question becomes, how much time does she have left to get that damage through before Tank Up overtakes her ability to do the damage?
Yay, I'm glad to see her take the spiders.
Yeah, very, very good. And a lot of people make the mistake of always going with scarabs. No. The spiders are correct a decent amount of the time, and Eve, I think, got the right call here. Goes with the spiders to punch through those taunts because it's either that or Mike Lowe has to spend more AoE to handle them. And she's betting that Mike either doesn't have it or won't do it, which I would agree with.
Oh wow, this second Direhorn hatchling off the top might be too much for Eve. She really needed to fade another taunt from Mike, and this is not looking good.
No, that's a tough draw for Eve. I mean, all credit to her. I think she did everything right in this very, very difficult matchup. But this is a very difficult matchup for this Druid deck, and the Living Mana is a great inclusion, trying to get over the hump against all these AoE. But there's just so much that comes out of these Taunt Warriors. Yeah, Shield Slam being deployed on just a spider. That is how dangerous those things are for Mike Lowe here. He's got to get rid of those things.
Yeah, this just kind of goes to show that even though Eve saw the lines and played fairly well to her outs, this shows exactly how bad of a matchup this is against the Warriors.
Yeah, it's the probably one of the things that is keeping the token Druid down and keeping Quest Warrior as a thing on ladder right now is this matchup specifically. Taunt Druid or Token Druid is a very good deck. It's very reliable and it punishes slow decks. But Taunt Warrior just has the answers to it, especially the regular version. Warpath just at one card can clear a multiple card combo from the Druid. So this is a very difficult matchup. Eve did the best she could, but unfortunately the cards just don't fall in her favor.
Yeah, I think she's going to see fairly quickly that she's just going to start dying to fatigue in the next couple turns without any real hope of bursting Mike down.
Yeah, the last 3 cards in her hand are card draw. She can't use them because that just is immediate damage from the fatigue mechanic. And she just dumped 2 Direhorn Matriarchs into Mike Lowe's deck, and there comes one of them off the top. So that is probably the nail in the coffin. If I know Eve, she's probably going to try and play it out just a bit and see if she can squeak something out, but the numbers don't really add up here. Fatigue starting to come in for Eve.
Yeah, I can imagine her conceding this game now. There's no outs that she has. She's gonna die to fatigue and this Matriarch fairly quickly.
going for the UI says, I'll take 18 fatigue damage.
This is not a stream for cowards.
And she is not one. She's tough, man. Like, don't pick a fight with Eve because she will fight you fair, but she will fight you hard, man. And she went right to 7 points of fatigue damage. She'll go to the line in any matchup. So that's gonna bring Mike up 1-0 in this set. And in between these games, we always like to tell people, oh man, my camera got really green over the break. So we like to tell people that this league is supported by Patreon.com, but more specifically, you. Right, watching this right now.
Me?
You too. In fact, all of us, we can support this league by going to patreon.com/UnitedHSLeague. You can become a patron. You can get some really great rewards. And I'm going to tell you, I can't say everything, but I can tell you, I can give you a hint. This is season 2. This is not everything that UHL is going to be. The guy who's running the show has plans. I have seen them. We have both seen them. They are awesome. And if you want to get in the gate early and say, I was one of the originals, go to patreon.com/UnitedHSLeague. Join our other patrons like Run. She is our special patron for this week, and she gets the shout out for the shows for this week. She gets her own private channel in the Discord to talk to me and Appa and all the other players. And she's an awesome human being on top of it. And if you want to be awesome with her, go to the Patreon and support this league. What do you think?
Yeah, do what Cinder said.
Yeah, there you go. So this is going to leave Eve with all of her 3 decks. Mike is going to be retiring the Taunt Warrior and be left with that mid-range Paladin with Lanissa Sunsorrow and the
Alarmabot Spellhunter.
Spellhunter. Is it even Spellhunter?
Well, it has
minions.
It has like the Spellhunter shell of secrets and the Spellstones and Rexar, but he also has gigantic, disgusting minions to pull from Alarmabot.
Like a big 12/12 that
big
is
Deathwing,
power incarnate,
King Crush,
King Crush,
just to name a couple.
Yeah, I think there might even be Devil Swords in there. So it's just Alarmabot plus big things with charge or too many stats to answer. And Eve's remaining decks, with the exception of the Warlock, don't really have hard removal to answer those big things.
But the decks that aren't Warlock don't really care about big minions because they're trying to hit you in the face real quick.
Yeah, and that Odd Paladin might just get in 30 damage before an Alarmabot even sees the light of day. We shall see. We're waiting for the players to queue up their next game, but I would have to believe that Eve is looking at the remaining classes, and she doesn't know that this is mid-range Paladin Alarmabot Hunter. Like she might make a decent call to that as a Spell Hunter or maybe Recruit Hunter, and the Paladin could be Odd or something else, but good money would be on Odd or maybe Murloc. So she's probably trying to consider what's her best queue, and if she's thinking these are aggressive decks, all of her decks are kind of a little tough. Maybe the Warlock might be the way to go here to set up a taunt wall like old Handlock and block off some damage.
The Warlock looks very good against both of his decks from Eve's perspective because she probably thinks Spell Hunter and Odd Paladin, but her Paladin also matches up favorably against the Hunter, and I mean it's fine in the mirror's a coin toss anyways, so that's looking good too. And then Token Druid is one of the reasons it came to prominence is because it absolutely feasts on Odd Paladin.
Yeah, it's that even at 6 mana post a nerf, spreading plague is a heck of a card, and unless there's a way to buff all those tokens, that can be an immediate shutdown to wide aggressive boards of small tokens, and that is one of the things that keeps Druid in the game against these small aggressive decks. And yeah, we're gonna see that. We're gonna see the Druid versus the Paladin. But how long until Eve gets the news that this is not an Odd Paladin? I guess right at the beginning of the game, because Baku's not gonna come out and tell us that no one will survive.
I think it'll take until turn 3 until she realizes this isn't Murloc Paladin when Michaela plays Benevolent Djinn.
There it is. Benevolent Djinn into a Blessing of Kings, though, is not a bad play. And Loremaster Eve is not going to be equipped with the tools to handle a big minion on 4. So this is... Oh, she gives out the greeting. She sees that there's no Baku. Now she knows that something's up.
She sees Blood Mage Thalnos and sees that something's up.
It is probably as confused as we might be if we didn't see these deck lists going in. Eve really down to just hero powering the Thalnos, I think. Although that's probably exactly what Mike wants here. He just wants the card draw on turn 2 to try and get into that mid-game, that beefy mid-game of his. And maybe to another Blessing of Kings and to Lanissa. I believe he named the deck Lanissa or... Lanissa or Bork. Lanissa or Bust, I believe was the name of the deck. So he's going to be trying to get down to it. But yeah, Eve considering her options and just goes for the hero power.
Yeah, her hand's looking really nice. I think the only thing that would make this hand a little better would be picking up a Nourish off the top, because she just wants to ramp this Greedy Sprite into another ramp spell, into an early Ultimate Infestation, or Living Mana that she can buff.
Yeah, and there is the Benevolent Djinn, so Eve probably wondering what the plan is now. She's going to throw out the Greedy Sprite and hope that Mike trades into it, but I think Mike is eyeballing that Blessing of Kings, and he's going to send 6 damage downtown right away.
Oh, he plays the Blessing of Kings off top.
Yeah, smart man. If you play it off the top, you kind of trick people into thinking you don't have the second one in hand. So nice heads up play for playing the card that came in off the top of the deck. Eve, though, down to 4 mana. She can coin out the Nourish or coin out Living Mana. But neither of those things handle that 6/8.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to determine her lines of play from our perspective because she is probably completely lost right now, trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, well, she is going to pick up that mana first.
Yeah, I would not put it past her to Living Mana here. I also wouldn't fault her for just running out the Whispering Woods and just trying to force Mike to have an answer to that.
And he just drew Consecrate off the top, which is exactly what he needs. And that is bad news for Eve. She's back to the drawing board after taking 6 more damage. This one could begin the books very, very quickly, Appa.
Yeah, this one looks to be slipping away from her quite quickly.
Yeah, and look at the turn 6 from Mike Lowe. That's a Wild Pyromancer with a spell in hand, which is gonna. Well, the power of the Wild is gonna keep her from getting cleared off the board. But man, that was almost very quickly gonna be another board clear.
We see Guardian of Kings picked up in Mike Lowe's hand. I haven't seen this card since 2014, played in Paladin decks.
Unironic Guardian of Kings. Well, Mike is he's really adept at making decks work with uncharacteristic cards. I mean, he's done perfectly well for himself in the league so far, and he's always willing to put on a show with the creativity and deck building. But he is facing 14 damage here. A Savage Roar actually would be lethal, so he has to do something in order to fend off this offense, but I don't know that he can.
I think his best play, would be Blessing of Kings and go face, but it looks like
Actually, this is just lethal, isn't it? There's 12 on board, 14 comes out from the Savage Roar. That's it. Eve's done.
Eve has done it on turn 6 because Greedy Sprite ramped her ahead in mana. She's got Savage Roar plus Power of the Wild. I'm sure she'll be double checking her math because Savage Roar math can get quite difficult.
It can, but I think the tricky thing is to always remember your hero gets 2 points of damage as well, and 3 if you use the hero power. So always add the number of minions plus your hero times 2, and you've got your Savage Roar damage. So 14 on the board plus 16 more from the Savage Roar. She's going to throw down the Power of the Wild just to make the point and deliver 32 damage downtown.
A 10-9 Benevolent Djinn did not get this done.
No, believe it or not, the tokens were faster than the double Blessing of Kings Benevolent Djinn. So just like that, Eve grinds out a loss in game 1, jumps right back into it in game 2 to even up the series 1-1. So now Token Druid is retired, and we jump into game 3 right after this reminder that there is a lot of action still to go in United Hearthstone League. You're in the middle of a Thursday triple header. Coming up after this at midnight Eastern time in the U.S., Nate Wolf versus reigning champion Ridiculous Hat. So you definitely want to come back to this Twitch channel for that exact match. That's going to be a brawl. And later on Friday in the week, Storm Rage versus Edelweiss. Edelweiss stepping up to the plate for Team Toast to play out the remainder of her matches. That's going to be at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then Saturday's got an afternoon doubleheader. That's going to be Andrew from the Happy Hearthstone versus the In-Master Supreme, Larry. And that's at 10 a.m. on the East Coast. And in the afternoon, right after lunchtime, Rod Johnson from Tier 5 versus the Greenspeed himself, Jordan Lingo, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Come back and check out those matches. They're going to be chock full of action. Appa, which one of those matches would you want to watch?
Well, I'm biased because I do a podcast with him.
Okay, fair enough.
But I'm excited to see Hat play because he's the reigning champion. He's also very good at Hearthstone, and he's a very smart dude.
He's kind of good at the game. I would have to pull up his stats on the website, but I think he's still in the lead here in Season 2 as well. He might even be undefeated.
I do not think he is lost yet.
No, what do you even do? I mean, the players are challenged by taking all 9 decks at least twice through the rotation. Well, I think it's a 9-week league, so you got to play each class 3 times, no exceptions. And so something in every single meta, not every deck or not every class has a good deck in it. So you got to find ways to win these best of 5s sometimes with not the best decks in the world.
Yeah, and there's confirmation on the ticker at the top that Ridiculous Hat is 5-0.
My goodness, he is he's well on his way to defending his title and getting into UHL Season 2 as the 2-time undefeated champion of United Hearthstone League. But the Lore Master Eve and Mike Lowe both have something to say about it, I think. And going into Game 3, we're looking at both Paladins and then the even lock versus either the other Paladin or the Hunter. Are either of these decks going to be able to punish that mid-range Paladin, you think?
So I think the odd Paladin will be able to beat the mid-range Paladin.
Sure.
But I can actually see mid-range Paladin giving even Warlock some trouble.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have very clean, cheap answers to Blessing of King's minions.
True.
And if Mike Lowe has another draw like he just had in that past game, I can see even Warlock crumbling very easily.
Yeah, even Warlock not known for tokens or Savage Roar. So it usually tends to put out big bodies on turn 4, turn 5, maybe even turn 3 if you're on the coin and you get that Mountain Giant in the mulligan. But that doesn't always happen, and even then, a 4-9 or an 8-8 even on turn 4 does not challenge a 10-9 Benevolent Gin.
You know, it's also good against really big boards.
What's that?
Without death rattles.
Huh.
A quality Consecrate.
Ooh, that is true. We did see the Consecrate. In Pyromancer, he's got to have equality in the deck, right?
He has a quality in the deck.
So, yeah, that's pretty punishing to the Warlock. So, yeah, like the Paladin might be able to put the Warlock to the test. And then it's just a question of where does that Odd Hunter line up for Mike? Because, I mean, the Warlock has access to Siphon Soul, has Twisting Nether. It's got plenty of removal to handle those cheated out minions. And also to answer the Alarmabots as they come down.
Yeah, I'm really interested to watch this Alarmabot Hunter play. I saw it previously in the season, but I'm excited to see it again. It's a fun deck to watch.
Yeah, that's my my genderqueer domesticated partner. Hi everybody. And she's gonna go play Overwatch. Yep. So yeah, we're heading into Game 5. Let's tell the players they can go. We told them 2 minutes, and they've given us ample time to talk stone the in between these series. So go ahead, Eve, get the game rolling. Mike, do your thing, man. Get the game rolling. And by virtue of us not doing headsets, we may not be able to do interviews after this.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be able to get an interview this time around.
Yeah, unfortunately. But you know what?
If you want to hear Eve talk more, keep an eye out for this week's episode of Coin Concede.
Yeah.
Because we actually had her on last night when we recorded, and we talked about Token Druid. Surprise!
Oh well.
And Bodicus and I convinced her on the Living Mana version of Token Druid.
Well, so far it's paid dividends. All right, so we're gonna see the odd I like the Marstrake. That's a great inclusion. Odd Paladin versus the mid-range Paladin, the Benevolent Djinn Paladin, the Lanessa Sunsaro Orba, Witch's Cauldron.
Oh my goodness, this is a spicy list.
That is sriracha to my sandwich, Appa. That is a spicy card. No opening play, though, for Eve. She really wanted a 1-drop there and didn't get it. Mike, nothing to play here as well. Sadie offering her commentary on the play. Loot Hoarder's going to come down off the coin for Mike Lowe. Eve, although she has no play, but man, 2 mana, 2 tokens is pretty good.
Yeah, smashing this hero power every turn is enough to overpower some of the best decks in the metagame right now.
And some of the worst draws, too, because sometimes you just get nothing, but being able to slam down 2 tokens every turn is pretty good. Mike Lowe going to follow suit, but he only gets 1 token off of the button. And Lore Master Eve's going to be able to play this Witch's Cauldron unironically, or the Devilsaur Egg, either one. But it's really hard to pass that up right there, man, I got to say. Because she's going to get a card right now off the trade.
Oh,
Tidal Surge, not bad.
Tidal Surge is not a low roll.
No, that actually will answer the Benevolent Djinn that's probably going to come out of the hand for Mike Lowe right here.
But the question is, does she want to answer this Benevolent Djinn, or does she want to try and build up a big board for level up?
Yeah, because, I mean, that is the win condition, and she's got to understand that she's the aggressor in this matchup. But she also knows that Consecrate is a tool that Mike has available to him, so she might want to hold for a later turn for the level up. But yeah, Mike plays the Djinn. looking for that Blessing of Kings combo, and Laura, I think Eve's going to respect this play here. Yeah, she saw it last game. There it goes. Back to the drawing board for Mike Lowe on turn 4.
She saw it. There it goes.
Yep.
Back to the board for Mike Lowe.
Oh, thank you. Hydrologist coming into play. I'm interested he doesn't have Primal Fin Champion, does he?
I don't think I saw it.
That would be a good inclusion if he had it.
He does not.
Oh man, that's a missed opportunity, Mike. If you're gonna play a Murloc, play the Primal Fin Champion. But
I mean, sometimes you gotta have Linessa or bust.
Yeah, right. Looks like Eve on 5 mana here is gonna opt for Devil's War Egg plus a couple of tokens, putting more power on the board and more spells in hand for that witch. That Cauldron. Now I want to play with that card. It seems so good in this deck now that I think about it.
Yeah, it saw a little bit of play at the beginning of the Witchwood.
Yep.
Before Even Paladin took over the metagame. People were experimenting with Witch's Cauldron to be better in the mirror and be better against other minion decks. Looks like Mike Lowe is going to play this Girubashi Berserker and try and equip the Spike Ridge Steed on it next turn.
My goodness.
Oh, Earthshock is going to...
Oh, man.
This is going to be an important card.
Good pickup, but that Fungalmancer is pretty great also. That's going to allow her to turn these 0 attack minions into something useful. Pretty hard to pass it up, and the Earthshock can still be deployed behind it to silence that Girubashi Berserker. And I've got to believe that she's probably going to try to get a card off of the trade with the token.
Oh, don't do it. Don't do it, Eve. Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah.
I thought she was going to point that at the 2/1 Hydrologist.
No, that'd be terrible. What secret did let's see, what did Mike deploy? He got Redemption. So he's going to get a 2/1 back for his trouble. Heads up play there for Eve. And the Cauldron, Bloodlust.
Oh my goodness.
That's so good for this deck.
Oh my gosh.
Odd Paladin is really good at filling the board with trash. 1/1s, 1/2s, maybe sometimes you level them up. Maybe sometimes you play a Stormwind Champion and get them all a +1/+1 temporarily. But either way, you fill up the board in Bloodlust, all of a sudden, man, it's like Token Druid 2.0. But Spike Ridge Steed, though, going to put the brakes on Lore Master Eve's offense. And she just deployed her Silence effect. So no way to punch through that Girubashi Berserker just yet.
Oh, wow. Going with a Stormwind Champion. If I was her, I think I might have developed Vine Cleaver, but that also takes a bit more damage to the face doing that, but it's a little bit cleaner of a trade. This just puts the 6/6 minion on the board and also pops the egg.
Yeah.
So
gets a 5/5, but a 6/6 by virtue of the Stormwind Champion. Another Tidal Surge off the Cauldron. Healing Rain. Interesting. So Eve getting quite a lot of mid to late game sustain from these healing cards. Gets through the first half of the Stegodon. But Mike Lowe rolling into 7 mana, and he's got plenty of options available to him here.
What was the card he just drew?
He just picked up Blood Mage Thalnos.
Blood Mage Thalnos. Yeah, Mike Lowe has quite a few options for board clears here. Eve has a lot of ways to flood the board. Mike has a lot of ways to kill white boards.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting dynamic right now.
Yeah. So in fact, the Thalnos combined with the Consecrate can just immediately clear a level up board. Token the tokens start at 1/1. Level up gives them +2/+2 in taunt. So at 3/3, they get cleared by the 2 damage Consecration plus Thalnos to make it 3 damage. And Mike Lowe continuing to deploy these buffs and going to be able to land this Fledgling. No way for Eve to answer it normally, but she did pick up the Tidal Surge off the Cauldron. So although she can't totally answer the board here, she can at least take that Fledgling off the board, which is going to threaten to just take this game completely out of control if it's unanswered.
I think the cleanest play Eve can do here is Tidal Surge the Fledgling, equip Sword of Justice, play Righteous Protector, trade in the Dinosaur into the Stegodon, hit with your face, and then kill the Hydrologist with the Stormwind Champion.
Yeah, and it'll get through much of the board. I like the Sword of Justice, though. It's such a good inclusion in this deck. It'll actually push those level ups to like make them 4/4s, which actually might be what's on her mind. she might be thinking about the possibility of a Consecrate backed up by a Thalnos, and want to be able to protect. Oh, she didn't. Oh, she's not clearing the Fledgling, but the Protector, Righteous Protector, will keep her from getting punched in the face.
This puts more damage on the champion.
Yeah.
But saves her face damage, which I think is probably less relevant in this matchup than she might value.
Mm-hmm.
But I can definitely see why she went for this play.
Yeah, in fact, she did find a way to clear the entire board. Good on her. Good on Eve. That's a great spot. And Mike Lowe back to the drawing board. Does have the Lich King available to him now, but reaching for the Hydrologist feels a little weak, Appa.
Yeah, I would be looking to slam Lich King. It gets traded into, but the important part about Lich King are the spells that the Lich King gives you.
Right.
So, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little too greedy, but that's probably the play I would be searching for.
Yeah, I mean, imagine it rolling out like Army of the Dead in this deck, because he's got a lot of just blankly powerful minions.
Army of the Dead, Death and Decay,
yeah,
Doom Pact, Frostmourne, even Death Coil are all good.
Oh, that's going to show up on the screen for the viewers at home. We're just letting the players know we don't have a headphone set here since we're live, so we're not going to be able to interview the players after this match, and they need to know that. But Lore Master Eve being able to play down that Marsh Drake and get a buff on it to make it a 7/6 for 3 mana. Oh, my goodness. And the Sword of Justice can clear off that poisonous token if she wants. And this is a huge board all of a sudden. Oh, Noble Sacrifice going to save it, though. Huge board for Lore Master Eve. Mike Lowe did not develop a very powerful board last turn, and he's really feeling the pressure now.
Yeah, he's going to be priced into expending one of his Consecrates here, probably alongside an Equality as well. And Eve has a lot of cards to follow up. I think Mike Lowe's removal is going to get overloaded here.
Yeah, and she's still holding on to that Bloodlust, and the amount of bodies that she's got on the board is just going to be threatening a lethal altogether. I don't see a way for Mike to answer this. Well, he's got a Consecrate. He's actually got 2 Consecrates. Blood Mage Thalnos, too. Well, but not enough mana.
He has an Equality in his hand.
Oh, he does have an Equality. Yeah. Okay. So Equality Consecrate will answer the board, but that'll leave Mike down to 3 mana. So not much to do after that, but I think he did just pick up his second Benevolent Djinn. Yeah. So he can at least make a play, but he's reaching for the Thalnos.
He gets to...
He can still trade away the...
Clear everything but the Blood Knight.
Yeah,
here.
Okay.
And I think this is a fine play. You still leave your Equality. You kind of bait Eve into thinking that his AoE's gone.
Yeah.
Because more likely than not, he's not going to have both Consecrates. But she's going to get the bad news that he does. So she will probably want to refill the board again. And then Mike Lowe will use his AoE again. And then Lore Master Eve will probably follow up with Vine Cleaver plus some other things.
Yeah, Vine Cleaver, a fine play here. Plus the hero power is going to get her 4 more tokens and refresh this board. And I wouldn't be surprised with that Marsh Drake connecting to face instead of making a trade here. Eve's, even though she's on lower health, she's still in the driver's seat with the bigger minions and more cards in hand. She's got the card advantage. Mike gets the second Equality, so the only assertive play Mike has available to him now is the Lich King. But yeah, he's gonna. Oh, you know what? He's gonna Equality and then trade and drop the Lich King here. I like this.
Yeah, this is a tempo Equality.
Yeah.
He knows that the only combo he has left in his deck is the Wild Pyromancer, and he's looking to just provide a clean board for his Lich King, so he's just running that out here now.
Yeah, and Eve, though, she's going to take quite a bit of face damage, but she can fill the board with Silverhand Recruits and activate that level up, get 7 3/3s on the board, which is very intimidating, but Mike's still holding an Equality Consecrate in his hand.
Yeah, he's going to Equality Consecrate. Eve's going to take 8 from this Lich King, and then probably 8 next turn, so she's actually might be dead if she doesn't pick up a way to kill this Lich King without tanking face damage here.
Yeah, and Lich King's already at 1, so the equality is irrelevant here. Mike can just throw it out there with no penalty to himself. Uh, yeah, equality coming down. Consecrate. Stonehill Defender will even contribute a little more late game power here. Setting Eve down to 10. Oh, she's gonna Zola. Oh, that is greedy, and I like it.
Yeah, he's in a commanding spot right here. So
Army of the Dead.
That's a way to not die here.
Yeah, level up will keep Lore Master Eve alive, but only by virtue of 2 Silverhand tokens. She's seen both equalities, she's seen both consecrates, so she might have hope that that is the last AoE that Mike just spent. So level up here in a last-ditch effort to stay alive, but Mike Lowe has, at the very least, Obliterate in hand from the Lich King. Blessing of Kings isn't bad here.
That's gonna do it.
Yeah.
Blessing of Kings, the Zola, and then push 8 damage with Lich King, and Mike finds a win with his mid-range Paladin.
My goodness. I mean, we were unsure of if there was a special game plan, a secret strategy that we weren't aware of, but no, it's just make big bodies and then hit you in the face a bunch, and that will get the job done.
Yep, make big bodies, buff them. Sometimes draw Linessa Sun Sorrow,
yep.
But sometimes you just don't need it.
It's Linessa or bust, and there was never any Linessa, and he didn't bust.
Yep, so it's looking like Mike Lowe might need to change that deck name a little bit after this series.
I would go with Blessing of Kings in your face. It seems like a more appropriate name for the deck.
Just name the deck Good Paladin cards.
Yeah, mid-range
featuring Girabashi Berserker.
Mid-range Paladin.deck. But Linessa Sun Sorrow, there is a lot less silence in the meta right now, thanks to the sideways nerf to Q block and control lock. So with less silence, Linessa Sun Sorrow might become a legitimate card again, Appa.
Yeah, speaking of that, it's kind of interesting why he included Girabashi Berserker over something like Skelemancer, because those are the cards. Girabashi in this deck is what you want to stick the Spikered Steed onto, or another buff, and Skelemancer provides a little more value if you do that. It's a worse initial body, but the upside's a lot better, and with an absence of every single deck in the meta running double Spellbreaker, like pre-nerf, that's the silence aspect is not as big as it was.
Yeah, indeed, and with the remaining not best of 3, because Lore Master Eve just put in that loss, so Mike's actually down a match point here on the Hunter. Can the Alarmabot Hunter get the win against an odd Paladin of all things?
I'm not sure.
That is a big ask, and then even Warlock's probably gonna put the pressure on that Hunter as well. So I'm gonna let the players know that they can continue their series. Appa, give me your thoughts on how does the Alarmabot Hunter find a win against these two decks?
Last time I questioned Alarmabot Hunter, Mike Lowe stomped with it.
That's true.
So I'm gonna put my faith in the Alarmabot here.
Okay. Have faith in the heart of the cards, and you know what? He's got 2 shots at it, so the chances of him pulling it off is pretty good. I mean, even if you're unfavored in one matchup, unfavored in 2, and getting 2 cracks at it, it usually is a slightly positive win rate over time.
Yeah, I think 2 unfavorable matchups back to back. I think the statistics work out to something close to 60%. In that one deck's favor. Yeah,
depending on how bad the matchup is, it can be like low 50s or even up to 60%. If it's like heavily unfavored, though, I mean, if it's like 230s, back to back, it's not going to happen.
I don't think that's the case here for Mike.
No. All right, here we go. Mike going to be queuing up the Alarmabot Hunter. Eve going to stick with the odd Paladin. Good call. I think this is her best chance to bring this to a game 5, and that's a pretty solid opening hand.
Yeah, definitely. I think Mike Lowe would rather be looking for Explosive Trap here, as opposed to the freezing. But I mean, his hand's looking okay aside from the Deadly Shot.
Yeah, I mean, Animal Companion on 3 or 2 with the coin is perfectly fine.
His hand is just good Hunter cards right now. So
Freezing Trap, a little undervalued, I think, in this matchup, just because of the plethora of tokens that are coming out of the Paladin deck. But Animal Companion can roll Misha, and that's a 4/4 taunt. It's pretty. Oh, Prince Liam is in this deck.
Yeah, it gives her a little extra late game staying power.
So this is an interesting deck. It says transform all your 1-cost cards into random legendaries. So things like this Righteous Defender,
Righteous Defender,
or Righteous
Blessing
Protector,
of Might.
Yep.
Lost in the Jungle. They're no longer dead draws off the top on like turn 9.
Right.
After Prince Liam, they're legendaries, which, I mean, on average, legendaries aren't as good as most people think, but they're still better than 1-drops most of the time.
Yep. And the presence of the tokens is going to allow this Marshdrake to come down as an effective 3-mana 5/4. And Mike Lowe rolled Leok. That's a low roll. That's misplay on the AC. But he's going to be rolling into Stitched Tracker here, he might consider. But he's going to play defense, use the kill command to kill off the Marshdrake, and set Eve down to just 2 1/1s. But
her hand's honestly looking a little awkward here.
Yeah, a little bit.
She wants to develop this Sword of Justice. Sword of Justice.
Yes.
But she has nothing to play behind it to get the buff immediately.
Yeah.
So she's really playing for the next few turns here.
Yeah, which is perfectly valid, and we've seen Eve show great prescience in these matches, being able to plan out several turns ahead. And even though this is a weak turn for her now, that Sword of Justice is going to make her next few turns very, very powerful. And Mike's going to be struggling to find answers to these very big boards of small to medium tokens. Right away, Devilsaur Egg becoming a 1/4, so it can start attacking next turn. Eve going to get the Explosive Trap triggered since Mike played that first. The Freezing Trap does not trigger yet.
Yeah, the sequencing on the secrets there is important.
And I assume that's the way he wanted that to go. He didn't want to bounce back the Righteous Protector. He wanted to bounce back something else. Swamp King Dread coming into hand for Mike Lowe. 2 secrets played, though, gives him a Spellstone powered up fully. That's 4 3/3s on the board. Loremaster Eve now rolling into her Fungalmancer turns, and she's got them both. She could just go face here. Could try to play the board, but this is so much power up. I want to believe she's just going to start heading downtown.
I imagine her checking first by attacking the 2/2 into the face. Oh no, this is...
Oof.
Mike Lowe probably got Eve here because the sequencing does get a little complicated. So I think she believed that wasn't Freezing Trap, but it was.
Yeah, Eve now playing a little defense, which I'm not sure of. I think she had the upper hand on the board. I think she could have pressed the attack and forced Mike to make the trades, but Mike gets a little breathing room, gonna Stitch Tracker, try to find the Alarmabot. There it is.
Now he has a clean board for Alarmabot and has Swamp King Dread and Deathwing in his hand.
Oh, man.
This is not looking good for Eve here.
2 minions. You couldn't ask for better for that Alarmabot. Mike really got the favorable board there because of Eve's missequencing on the traps. The Alarmabot's going to pay dividends here because it activates before Mike draws a card. Deathwing coming down 12/12 on turn 7.
This Deathwing is going to make very short work of Eve's life total, and she's finding herself in a lot of trouble here.
And here's the painful thing is Mike can continue to develop behind the Alarmabot minion because it doesn't cost him anything. Deadly Shot going to take Liam off the board. Huffer trades away any of the goods, and that Deathwing, he did come in sleepy, but that's 18 power plus a hero power next turn. That's a ton of damage.
Yeah, I'm honestly not really imagining a line where Eve gets back into this game.
Oh, man.
And that's the power of Alarmabot. It's an unassuming card, and it looks like a meme, but when it triggers, it's very powerful.
If you can cheat, you can win at Hearthstone, and Alarmabot is a cheating card.
Put your faith in the bot.
That's right. So both bots, both Alarmabot and Boticus, they're both worth listening to. But look at Mike going all downtown with all of this damage. And actually, That is lethal.
That's it.
My goodness. Kill command off the top's going to put this away for Mike Lowe. Alarmabot finds the win against what I would imagine is normally an unfavored matchup. Trap sequencing so important, Appa. Mike Lowe going to come away with a 3-1 win over Eve with Mike's mad genius decks that he loves to bring week after week.
Yeah, he credits this deck design to his friend on Twitter, Truly Malice. He came up with the deck list a few weeks ago and posted it on Twitter, and Mike has taken it and ran with it in UHL. I honestly don't think he's lost with the deck yet. I think he's just 2-0 with it.
When he's had it in his lineup, he's won all of his series. So that deck has found wins in every best of 5 that it's been in. My goodness. So Eve all credit to her. I think Eve played as well as could be asked with, maybe that trap sequencing was the big mistake of the night for Eve, but otherwise I would say like 98% well played for her. But Mike just being able to get the element of surprise on these meta decks.
Yeah, I probably would have gotten that trap sequencing wrong as well.
Yeah.
Because, I just get confused sometimes, and I just forget how freezing trap and explosive work together while they're sequenced. So I probably would have read it as like Venom Strike or Snake Trap or something.
Yeah, well, in fairness, she attacked with a minion into the face and probably expected both freezing and flames explosive trap to trigger. And because Mike sequenced them the way he did, the freezing trap didn't trigger, and that might have actually pulled the wool over Eve's eyes and allowed that bad trade to happen.
Yeah.
So that is another great series in the books for United Hearthstone League. If you want to see more matches like this, a great mix of competitive and creative can be just as competitive as you've seen tonight. Follow the channel right here on Twitch, twitch.tv/UnitedHSLeague. Go to the Patreon, patreon.com/UnitedHSLeague. See how you can get involved. And come back for the remaining matches for this week. We've got coming up later on tonight in just about an hour, just under an hour. The third game, the headliner of this triple header, Nate versus Ridiculous Hat. Nate Wolf, a wild specialist, but doing pretty well with meta decks and standard mode here, going up against reigning champion and currently undefeated player in UHL Season 2, Ridiculous Hat. Check that out right here. In fact, don't even close this browser window. Just leave it open and wait for the next cast because it's going to be great. And then tomorrow night, Storm Rage versus Team Toast, Edelweiss taking up the banner for Toast. And if you have not heard of Edelweiss, she is a heck of a player. She's been placing very highly in tournaments and lands in the last few months. She's going to be a player to watch, I think, and she's showing her chops everywhere she goes. But Storm Rage is no joke either. So that's tomorrow night, Friday night, 7:30 on the East Coast, and then Saturday morning and afternoon, got a little bit of a brunch and brawl. Andrew from the Happy Hearthstone versus O'Leary at 10 o'clock on the East Coast, and then Rod Johnston of Tier 5 versus Jordan Lingo, the Greenspeed, at 2 p.m. Eastern. Appa, final thoughts for this great matchup between Eve and Mike.
Alarmabot's great. Okay. I need to study secrets more.
Yeah. Yeah, secret sequencing is so tricky. So thanks. My apologies to Eve and Mike. As you can see, we are live, like actually live. We're in the same room together. So no headset. If we put you on the speakers, it would just be feedback, and it would be really painful to listen to for everyone. So we're not going to do that to the listeners. But come to the Discord and jump into the general channel and hit him up with questions. I know that Eve is very chatty, and Mike loves to talk Hearthstone. So come on down to the Discord. Find the link on the homepage, UnitedHearthstoneLeague.com. And for them and for my very good friend Appa here and everybody who's in the background, the dogs, the significant others, Taylor, or Dr. Evil she is now, has been playing Hearthstone behind us the whole time. So for all of them and me, that's Appa right there, Appa_HS.
Yeah.
I'm Cinder. That's me right there.
Go follow us on Twitter.
I
basically exist on Twitter right now.
And follow Eve, follow Velen's Chosen podcast, follow Mike Lowe and Mike Lowe's Twitch stream for sure, because he streams a lot and he loves to do it. For all of those great folks, good night, and we will see you tonight. 45 minutes. Stick around.